Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Ryan Newman, and today I'll be previewing and predicting Nebraska's 2022 season, do or die season for Scott Frost coming up here. Although I think I said the exact same thing last year, and he proceeded to go 3-9 and somehow kept his job. But this is really it. If he doesn't make a bowl game, no matter how unlucky or how crazy the season may have gone, no bowl game, he's got to be gone. But just keep in mind, as I go through this prediction here, I'm a huge Nebraska fan. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right. Let's get into the team here. We got, let's talk about the offense. Adrian Martinez has finally moved on, and Nebraska brings in two transfer quarterbacks to take his place. Case Thompson from Texas and Chubba Purdy from Florida State. Thompson seemingly has the edge as far as who will start the season. He's older, has more experience, and he played well down there in Austin. Now the question is he an upgrade over Martinez? To me, that remains to be seen. I always believe that Martinez just had such a poor supporting cast and coaching that he was just constantly put in terrible situations. There were times when I felt like he did everything he could to carry the team, and then there were moments where he was bad. But still, I think he was put in a lot of tough spots. So I'm not convinced that, like some people seem to be at least, that Thompson's just going to come in and definitely be an upgrade. I'm not sure about that. At running back, it's been a revolving door, seems like, the past few seasons. It just hasn't been a position of strength, and to me, it seems like that will be more of the same. Hopefully somebody breaks out, whether it's Ramir Johnson, Jaquez Yant, Anthony Grant, whoever it may be. Hopefully somebody steps up, but at this point, you can't predict that. So unfortunately, a position of weakness there. A wide receiver, this group has a lot of potential. I feel like we said that last year too, but it really, really does. Just nobody's really proven it consistently here. Trey Palmer, he's a transfer coming in from LSU. He'd be my guess as to who the leading receiver is going to be. I think he'll be pretty good. But other questions around him. Omar Manning, can he finally put it together? You've heard great things about him for a couple of years, but off the field stuff has just kind of kept him off. So I'm not sure he's going to be able to put it together in his final year. Oliver Martin, can he put it together? Alante Brown, can he step up? There's others, but I'm hoping that it all works out. But this group has a big variance, and unfortunately, I can't predict that it's going to be a good group until I actually see it come together for once. So, going to say that's it doesn't work out the way Nebraska fans we would like. Supposedly the offensive line looks a little bit better. They've simplified kind of their concepts, or at least what they're asking them to do, having them come off the ball more, which seems like common sense to me, but whatever. So I'm thinking they'll actually be a little bit better this year, especially if, the left tackle, Teddy Prohaska, if he's fully healthy. He, as a freshman last year, clearly to me was our best offensive lineman when he played. And I think he's the only one capable of playing that left tackle position. Anybody behind him, I think, would be a significant downgrade. So as long as he's staying there and he's healthy, I think the offensive line should be better. And then finally, I got to bring up Mark Whipple, the new offensive coordinator coming in from Pittsburgh. Certainly had an amazing offense last year there. What's his impact going to look like now that Scott Frost is a little more hands-off? For Whipple, it wasn't a quick fix there at Pittsburgh. It took him a little while to get it going, at least at the elite level. So I have my concerns that he's just going to come into Lincoln and get it rolling right out of the gate in year one when there's a lot of new pieces to work with. So listen, I think the offense is going to be decent. There's some talent there, but I don't anticipate them firing on all cylinders and being quote unquote good. So now let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. A lot of key pieces are gone. Big nose tackle Damian Daniels decided to go pro. Defensive end Ben Stilley's gone, stalwart of the defense for a few years. JoJo Doman, a linebacker, good playmaker, kind of do-it-all guy. Corner, Cam Taylor-Britt. And our safeties, Markel Dismuke and Deontay Williams. All those guys are gone. Arguably 6 of maybe the top 7 or 8 players that were on the defense last year. So there's some very big shoes to fill. Seems like Nebraska's going to sport more of a 4-3 kind of look this year. So let's talk about the D-line a little bit. Big transfer Nebraska got in the offseason from TCU, O'Shawn Mathis. He comes in and should start right away at defensive end. Hopefully he kind of regains his 2020 form. Ty Robinson, he's back at D tackle. big time recruit, been there for a couple years now. He needs to make a jump in his third year. Nebraska needs some big play out of him in order to have a good defense. Then we got Garrett Nelson. He's going to be on the other side at defensive end, a little bit more of the pass rushing specialist. He had 5 sacks last year, and he's the unquestioned leader of the defense going into the season. So he could be in line for a pretty good year. And then we bring in a couple of Power 5 transfers along the defensive line, one from Bama, one from Texas Tech. They aren't necessarily playmakers, but it is always nice to have quality depth, so they will certainly bring that. Let's move on to linebacking group. Should be pretty good, even after losing Doman. You got Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich. Those two combined for over 200 tackles last year. They are good players. Next to them will be Caleb Tanner. Not quite as good, really not good, but hey, depth, and he's coming back. He'll be all right. Secondary, let's move on to that. Seems like a group that, I should be really worried about, considering, Nebraska lost 3 starters and some pretty good ones. But Travis Fisher, the DB coach, to me, he's the best position coach Nebraska has. Well, now that we got Mickey Joseph from LSU, the wide receiver coach, maybe it's a competition there. But Travis Fisher does a good job recruiting and developing his guys, so I think they're going to be all right. Quentin Newsome, solid corner, started last year, did pretty well. Braxton Clark is the other maybe leading candidate for a corner spot. It's kind of up in the grab still, but up in the air still. But he's been waiting his turn for a couple years, so maybe it's his turn to break out. Marquise Buford's been getting a lot of good buzz, at least in the spring, about his work at safety. So there's also a couple high-level transfers, one from Arizona State and then Northern Iowa. So I think there's going to be some depth there, and I think Travis Fisher will find 4 or 5 guys that'll be quality players. So I think they'll be all right. But overall, I with the amount of production that Nebraska did lose, I think Nebraska's defense will take at least a little step back. They're not going to be bad at all, but I don't see them being quite as good. But hopefully I'm wrong. All right, let's talk about let's move on to the schedule. Well, I could say the special teams. I mean, Nebraska brings in a new FCS kicker and punter. Both of them have to be upgrades over what Nebraska trotted out there last year, which is just a joke. Unfortunately, it cost Nebraska quite a few games. So special teams is nowhere to go but up, and hopefully it will, with Scott Frost maybe taking a more hands-on approach. I hope it'll be better, but at least we should be able will be better at punting and kicking. So, all right, moving on. Now let's talk about the schedule. More favorable than last year. There's no doubt about that. Start off with a game like last year we should win, but you never know. Northwestern in Ireland. Northwestern was terrible last year. They should be terrible again. Not a whole lot of people coming back from a bad team. Didn't really change anything. So Nebraska should win that. If Nebraska doesn't, I mean, just the season's done. There's just no way you can lose to Northwestern and then end up having a good year. So 1-0 in my eyes. Come back to play North Dakota. Should be a win. 2-0. Then we got Georgia Southern coming to town. Should be 3-0. So nice start there to the season. Then OU comes to town. That one is setting up to be a huge game. 3-0 heading into OU, which obviously, there'll be a solid team, but Nebraska competed well with them last year, and then they have a new coaching staff, lost some key pieces, new quarterback. It's the point spread in that game is really close. I think it's like under a field goal right now, so it's a toss-up, but I can't go with Nebraska until I see him beat a quality team. So as unsure as I am about OU, I'm going to go with OU there. And so they'll come in and get the win in Lincoln. So that'll be 3-1 for Nebraska. Then Indiana comes. Tom Allen did a good job for a couple years there, getting them to be respectable, but they've fallen back down to where they usually are, unfortunately. So I think Nebraska will beat them at home. So 4-1. Then 2 road games. You got at Rutgers, which could be a little bit of a tricky game. Greg Schiano's doing his best to kind of bring in some solid recruits, and they should sport a new quarterback this year. Gavin Wimsatt, 4-star, should probably take the reins. I don't think he's quite ready, though, to lead a good team. So I'll say Nebraska avoids an upset there and gets to 5-1. Then a tough one at Purdue. Purdue's had Nebraska's number. They return a great quarterback, Aiden O'Connell. They do lose a couple receivers, but if there's one thing you know about Jeff Brom, the head coach, he sports a good offense, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. And the defense is all right. But it's just a tough place to play, tough team for Nebraska. So I'm going to say Nebraska loses that game at Purdue, drops Nebraska to 5-2, and 3-1 in the conference there. Then they get a break and bye week, and then after that they're hosting Illinois, a team that beat Nebraska last year in game 1 and kind of set the tone for Nebraska's year. And unfortunately, I'm going to take Illinois again. I think they'll have a solid defense and a pretty good rushing attack. Sounds like Brett Bielema, right? So yeah, it'll be a bit of an upset. Nebraska will be favored, but that's my call, man. Brett Bielema does a pretty good job against the Huskers. So 5-3 now. Minnesota comes to Lincoln, a 9-win team last year. They had a really good defense. They'll take a step back on that side of the ball, lose some playmakers, but they're not going to be bad. You don't think that. They're still going to be decent. And I anticipate their offense getting better. They got a lot of good skill talent on offense surrounding Tanner Morgan, bringing their old offensive coordinator back, so maybe they'll get a little boost there. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think they beat Nebraska, drops Nebraska to 5-4. Then a toughie for Nebraska at Michigan. It was a great game in Lincoln last year, just an electric atmosphere. It's unfortunate Nebraska didn't pull that one out, but seems like Michigan's taking it to another level here. They should be really good on offense and defense again. Just don't see Nebraska going to the big house and pulling that one out. So another loss, 5-5. Then Wisconsin comes to Lincoln. I don't know how you can predict Nebraska beats them. They just have Nebraska's number. They beat us every year. We beat them once maybe since we've been in the conference. And they're going to be good. I think they'll have a really, really good defense. Ground game should be good. Quarterback's a pretty big question mark for them, but it's been that way for a while, and they still beat Nebraska. So 5-6 after that game. And then finally, another nemesis for the Huskers at Iowa. Just seem to have our number. They're going to have another really good defense. Their offense is not going to be good, but hasn't been good for a while either, and somehow they still beat Nebraska as well. I got to take Iowa. Till I see it, I got to go with it. I got to go with Iowa. So that would be 5-7 overall, in my opinion. My prediction: 3-6 in Big Ten play, a 6-game losing streak to end the season. Not what all us Husker fans are hoping for. And Scott Frost, in that scenario, my scenario, would be fired. So listen, guys. I know that's a very pessimistic prediction about Nebraska, because when you look at their season win total as far as the betting market goes, it's 7.5. So me saying 5 wins only is quite a bit lower. But if you go back and watch our prediction for Nebraska last year, I said they wouldn't make a bowl game either, and I ended up being right about that. I thought everything would just kind of we'd be a decent team. I knew we would be, but somehow I just thought we'd find ways to lose games. It's just been Scott Frost's kind of track record so far at Nebraska, but hopefully this is the year that changes. And it's certainly possible. Like, Nebraska has the capability to be able to beat anybody on their schedule. There's no Ohio State this year, even though we were pretty close to them last year, but they could beat anybody out there on their schedule. So there's 8 wins is possible, 9, hell, even 10 is certainly within reach. But it's been 5 years in a row without a bowl game. So until Frost proves it, I'm just not going to predict a bowl game. I want to be proven wrong first about that. But that'll be it for this episode of the College Football Bros. I'm sorry to Nebraska fans for my kind of buzzkill prediction there. But please let me know in the comments, how wrong you think I am, and tell me what you guys think Nebraska's record will be. I'll be interested to hear your guys' thoughts. So I'll talk to you in the chat. Thanks.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.